Welcome back, everyone. Every single day it feels like there's just this flood, right? Another headline about AI, another article you have to read, especially if you're in sales.
Absolutely. It's relentless.
And the real challenge isn't just finding the info anymore, it's figuring out what actually matters, what's useful,
Yeah,
what can you apply without, just creating more work.
exactly. Cutting through that noise is key.
So you're here because you want the real insights, fast, relevant, practical. And today, we're going straight to a resource that's really making waves for people serious about AI in sales.
Oh, interesting. Which one?
It's called the AI Sales Leaders channel. And what we want to do today is really unpack the core ideas, the perspectives they're sharing there,
Sure.
like how AI is genuinely reshaping sales, not just the hype, but everything from like high-level strategy right down to the nitty-gritty of security, which turns out to be huge.
Right. Security is often the piece people miss.
Totally. So what makes this particular perspective, this channel, so timely right now? Why is it so important if you're trying to really leverage AI in your sales strategy, not just play with it?
Well, I think a good starting point is understanding why this conversation is so urgent now.
Okay, yeah, let's start there.
And the AI Sales Leaders channel, which you mentioned, seems purpose-built for this moment. It's put together by Ryan, and its core mission, which I think is brilliant, is basically bridging this communication gap. You've got your frontline folks, SDRs, AEs, grinding it out.
Right, in the trenches.
Exactly. And then you've got revenue leaders, executives, trying to figure out the big picture, the strategy for AI. And often, they're not quite speaking the same language or seeing the same challenges.
It makes sense. It's like two different worlds sometimes.
It really can be. But what caught my eye about this channel is its specific angle: sales first and security first.
Yeah.
It's not just tech for tech's sake.
Sales first and security first. I like that. So why now? Why is this the critical moment for this kind of focused chat?
Because fundamentally, sales as a whole profession is staring down a crossroads in 2025. It's not an exaggeration.
A crossroads. How so?
It impacts everyone. Take SDRs. For them, it's all about efficiency, better execution. They're asking, how do I cut through all this digital noise?
Yeah, it's deafening out there.
How do I personalize outreach at scale without it sounding fake? And crucially, how do I get time back for things that actually move the needle, not just busy work?
So for SDRs, AI is about precision,
Yeah,
doing more of the right thing.
precisely. Precision, not just volume. But then you move up the ladder to AEs, to leadership.
And the problems change.
Completely. Now it's about strategy, about scale.
Right.
How do we roll out AI across the whole team effectively? How do we actually validate our pipeline is real, not just hopeful?
Validation. That's a big one.
Huge. And the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
How do we do all this while keeping our data, our customers' data, secure? That security posture is critical.
Okay, so different roles, different AI challenges.
Exactly. And Ryan's perspective, the channel's perspective, is that tools are being grabbed and used at all these levels, but often without the right context, without alignment. A SDR tries a tool, a VP tries another, but there's no cohesive plan. This channel is trying to close that specific gap.
Providing guidance that works for the daily grind and the long-term strategy.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's basically saying 2025 isn't just another year. It's potentially make or break for how companies adopt AI in sales. And this channel wants to offer a kind of blueprint.
It's funny you mentioned tools being adopted without context because, wow, it feels like every single morning there's a new AI tool promising to be a game changer for sales.
Oh, tell me about it. The inbox is full.
Right. It's almost overwhelming, and it makes you step back and ask, okay, are these tools really meeting the specific, the deep needs of sales teams?
That's the million-dollar question.
Because it seems like so many of these shiny new toys might be great for, I don't know, writing a generic email.
Sure, surface-level stuff.
Yeah. But what happens when you need something really specific? Something tailored? Are they falling short where it really counts?
That lands exactly on what we're seeing, what the channel calls the AI tools gap.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
The AI tools gap. Okay, tell me more.
So yeah, lots of these tools flooding the market. They're genuinely good at generic tasks, drafting a basic follow-up, summarizing meeting notes. They can handle that.
Okay, that's simple stuff.
But where they stumble is on the deeper, more impactful sales work. Let's take an SDR again. They use an AI tool to find prospect insights. Great start. But then they still have to spend ages tweaking that output. Why? Because the tool doesn't inherently get their company's specific messaging or their internal data or the nuances of the vertical they're selling into.
So the context is missing. It's too generic.
Exactly. It lacks that crucial layer of specificity. And for account executives, it gets even more pronounced.
Oh.
Think about building a really solid account plan or a discovery deck that actually resonates. These generic tools often fail because they can't ingest or adapt to your company's unique stuff.
Like the ideal customer profile.
Precisely. Or what worked in past successful deals.
Hmm.
Or the product differentiators that actually make you stand out from the competition. The generic AI just doesn't know that.
Right, it can't know that out of the box.
And then zoom out to the executive level, the problem scales up. How do you justify the ROI on these tools beyond just saying, look, people are using it?
Yeah, vanity metrics don't pay the bills.
They don't. These tools don't automatically show you a shorter sales cycle or better win rates, or even proof that you're handling data safely. And this isn't just anecdotal.
There's data on this.
Oh, yeah. MIT did a big study there, the Gen AI Divide Report for 2025, found that a whopping 95% of enterprises running generative AI pilots, they weren't getting measurable returns.
Wow, 95%, that's staggering.
Why? Largely because they were relying on these generic models that just don't adapt or integrate well into the complex, specific workflows of a real business, especially sales.
So it forces you, as a leader or a rep, to ask a tough question.
Which is?
Are you just chasing the latest shiny generic tool? Or are you being strategic, investing in AI that's actually tailored, that adapts and drives real, measurable ROI for your specific situation?
That's the core differentiator right there, the tailored versus the generic.
That MIT report finding 95% not getting ROI, that really hits hard, doesn't it?
It's sobering for sure.
It really makes you think. If all this incredible AI power is just, I don't know, automating the wrong things faster or automating flawed processes.
Right, speeding up bad habits.
Exactly. Then maybe the answer isn't just another tool. Maybe it's about getting back to basics, back to methodology, leaning on proven sales frameworks.
You've hit the nail on the head. That's a central theme in the channel's perspective.
So what does it really mean for us if AI is just amplifying processes that are already broken?
It means trouble, basically. The channel puts it bluntly. AI without a sales framework is just noise.
Just noise. I like that.
Because the tools themselves, no matter how smart they seem, they don't magically fix a broken sales motion. They just automate the flaws, often making them worse because they happen faster and at scale.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about SDRs again. Let's say a team isn't using a solid framework like, say, gap selling. The one focused on diagnosing the prospect's real problem by finding that gap between where they are now and where they want to be.
Right. Current state versus future state.
Exactly. If you don't have that framework guiding you, the AI personalization you generate can be really superficial. It's that classic, hey, I saw you went to university name email.
Ugh, yeah. We've all gotten those.
Right. It's technically personalized, but it completely misses the point. It doesn't diagnose a business problem. It doesn't tie the outreach to any real potential impact. AI can churn out hundreds of those weak emails in minutes.
And they'll all fall flat just as fast.
Precisely. Now think about AEs doing discovery calls. They might use AI to generate a list of questions. Sounds helpful.
Looks like it, yeah.
But if those questions aren't anchored in a strong framework, maybe Challenger, focusing on teaching and taking control, or MEDPAC, making sure you hit metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, all that, then the rep can easily miss the deep stuff.
Yeah.
The real pain points, the underlying economic drivers, the complex decision process happening behind the scenes.
So the tech gives them questions, but they still don't know why they're asking them or what to listen for.
Exactly. And the deal stalls. Not because the AI failed, but because the human conversation lacked that strategic structure, that framework.
That connects to something I read from Gartner, I think, about the sales experience being key.
Yes. Gartner found that 53% of customer loyalty comes from the sales experience itself. More than product, more than price.
Wow. Over half.
So if you're using AI without a solid framework underpinning that experience, you risk amplifying the flaws in how you sell, making that experience worse, not better.
So the big takeaway is AI needs a guide.
It's an amplifier. That's the key concept. Anchor it to proven frameworks. Gap selling, Challenger, MEDPAC, whatever fits your model, and it amplifies discipline, structure, effectiveness. That leads to real transformation.
Yeah.
Anchor it to chaos. It just amplifies the chaos.
AI as an amplifier. I really like that way of thinking about it. But okay, if it amplifies everything, the good and the bad,
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword.
does that mean the risk is actually higher for teams who maybe think their process is solid, but they have hidden weaknesses? AI could just accelerate those problems.
That's a very real danger, yes.
Yeah.
It can expose weaknesses you didn't even know you had faster than ever before.
Okay, and speaking of risks, you mentioned AI amplify, well, it must amplify risk too, right?
Good.
And there's one huge risk area that feels like it gets glossed over in the rush for productivity gains: cybersecurity.
The elephant in the room,
Hmm.
or maybe the invisible threat.
Exactly. What are the hidden dangers here, especially when we're, feeding potentially sensitive company or customer info into these AI systems?
You've zeroed in on it. Cybersecurity is, without doubt, the major blind spot in how many sales teams are adopting AI right now.
A blind spot. Why?
Because everyone's so focused on the productivity boost, the efficiency gains, that they often don't stop to fully assess the security cost of these new AI-driven workflows.
So, like, what kind of risks are we talking about? For an SDR, for instance.
For SDRs, the risks can seem kind of subtle, almost harmless on the surface. Think about just copying and pasting some prospect notes from LinkedIn or maybe internal notes about a customer into one of those free open AI tools online.
Yeah, people do that all the time to summarize or rewrite things.
Exactly, it feels innocent. But here's the catch. That data isn't just processed and forgotten, depending on the tool's policy, which nobody reads.
Guilty.
Right, that data can be stored, it can be logged, it might even be used to train the AI provider's external models. Suddenly you've got potential compliance issues, privacy breaches, and you start eroding customer trust without even realizing it.
Wow, okay, just from copy pasting. And for AEs, I imagine the stakes are higher.
Much higher. Now you're talking about potentially feeding sensitive deal context, maybe internal discussions about pricing, proprietary customer strategies.
Stuff you'd never email externally.
Absolutely not. Yeah. But reps might paste it into an unsecured AI tool to help draft a proposal or analyze competitor info, often without a second thought about where that data is actually going.
That's genuinely scary.
It is. But the biggest worry, especially for the leadership, comes down to APIs and integrations.
Ah, connecting AI directly into other systems.
Exactly. Wiring AI tools directly into your core platforms, your Salesforce, your Outreach, maybe even your company email, without rock-solid security controls. That creates what some experts call invisible data flows.
Invisible data flows.
Yeah, these connections are designed to make things seamless, save time. But if they aren't properly secured and monitored, they can become unintentional backdoors. You risk exposing huge amounts of sensitive customer or company data, catastrophically so.
Is this a theoretical risk, or are people actually worried about it?
Oh, they're worried. Salesforce put out a report, their 2024 State of Data Security. It found 73% of IT leaders are actively worried about AI-related data leaks.
73%.
And maybe even more telling.
Yeah.
Over half, more than 50%, admitted that shadow AI use was already happening in their companies.
Shadow AI, meaning people using tools without ITs, okay.
Exactly. Reps finding tools online, plugging them in, trying to be more productive, but doing it completely outside of any official security or compliance oversight.
Man, that's a recipe for disaster.
It absolutely can be.
Yeah.
And this is where the channel's security-first lens really comes in. The leaders who get ahead of this, who treat security not as a checkbox or an afterthought, but as a genuine competitive differentiator. They'll be the ones who build trust. They can actually demonstrate to customers, look, we're using AI, but we're doing it safely, compliantly. That builds confidence, rather than risking its erosion.
Treating security as a differentiator, not just a cost center, that's a powerful shift.
It really is. It builds long-term advantage.
Okay, that stat on shadow AI, use over 50%, that's pretty eye-opening. It just screams urgency, doesn't it? Get ahead of this before it blows up.
Couldn't agree more. Proactive is the only way.
Right. So let's zoom out again. We've talked tools, frameworks, security. Now, the big question everyone seems to be debating, what does AI mean for actual sales roles? You hear these predictions, sometimes pretty dramatic, about the end of the SDR or AEs becoming obsolete.
Yeah, there's a lot of that chatter out there. Fear, uncertainty.
But what if it's not really about replacement? What if it's more about a fundamental transformation of these roles? How do you see AI actually reshaping what SDRs and AEs do day to day, how they create value in the coming years?
The channel, and I tend to agree, takes a very clear stance on this. It's not about replacing roles. It's about fundamentally transforming how each role creates value.
Okay, transforming how they create value. Break that down for me. What does that look like for an SDR?
For SDRs, the future is less about banging out sheer activity, volume calls, emails, and much more about insight delivery.
Insight delivery.
Yeah. Think about it. AI is going to get really good really fast at handling the repetitive manual stuff. Building lists, drafting that initial outreach, maybe even basic call prep notes.
Okay, so the grunt work gets automated.
Exactly. And that liberates the SDR. It frees them up to focus on the higher value, uniquely human tasks. Things like truly diagnosing a prospect's problem, deeply understanding their needs, having genuinely meaningful first conversations that aren't just scripted.
So less task executor, more strategic thinker.
Sort of. They become more like operators of AI-driven workflows. They guide the tech, but their value shifts from quantity, how many dials, to quality, how insightful was that initial interaction.
Okay, I can see that. What about AEs? How does their role transform?
For AEs, the shift is arguably even more profound. They transition towards being, first and foremost, business consultants, and secondarily, sellers.
Business consultant first, seller second. Interesting.
Because AI will handle a lot of the heavy lifting on research market analysis, competitor intel, summarizing past interactions, prepping for meetings. It frees up significant bandwidth.
Bandwidth for what?
For the deep strategic work, mapping the customer's problems directly to tangible business impact. Understanding their world so well that you can offer unique insights. This is where those frameworks we talked about, like gap selling, become even more critical.
How so?
Because AI provides the information, the raw data, the summaries. But it's the AE's human insight, their empathy, their strategic thinking, that takes that information and converts it into urgency, into value, into a compelling reason for the buyer to act.
So AI handles the what? The AE handles the so what?
Beautifully put, yes. And what about executive leaders? Their role changes too.
How does it look for them?
It expands significantly. They won't just be measured on hitting the revenue number or the pipeline volume anymore. They'll be judged on how effectively they architect the entire AI-enabled sales system.
Architecting the system,
Right.
meaning?
Meaning, can they build something that delivers both scale and security? Can they use AI to genuinely validate the pipeline, moving beyond gut feel to buyer-verified evidence? Can they integrate AI facely and ethically? It's a much bigger, more strategic role.
So tying it all together, the future isn't fewer salespeople, but differently skilled salespeople working within smarter systems.
That's the core idea. The sales organization of the future won't be defined by size necessarily, but by how effectively they operationalize AI, embedding it deeply into workflows, into security protocols, into the very culture so they can sell faster, forecast more accurately, and this is key, earn and maintain that deep customer trust.
That's a really compelling vision, and honestly quite reassuring compared to some of the doom and gloom predictions out there.
It's about evolution, not extinction.
Right. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We started by looking at the AI Sales Leaders channel and its mission to bridge that gap between reps and leaders.
Tackling the communication challenge.
Then we dove into that AI tools gap, the problem with generic solutions.
And the need for tailored approaches.
We talked about why established sales frameworks are actually more important than ever when you add AI into the mix.
Because AI without a framework is just noise.
Exactly. Then the crucial, often missed wild card of cybersecurity risks.
The invisible threat that needs to be made visible.
And finally, envisioning how these sales roles, SDR, AE, leader, are set to transform, not disappear. It feels like a really pragmatic, really actionable take on AI in sales.
I think that's the goal, to cut through the hype and offer something concrete. And it really boils down to a fundamental choice for every sales leader, every organization right now.
What's the choice?
Well, the future isn't really about if AI transforms sales. That train has left the station. The question is how you choose to operationalize it.
How you choose, yeah.
Are you going to chase the hype, just grab the latest shiny tools without a clear strategy, hoping for the best?
The 95% who don't see ROI.
Or are you going to be intentional? Are you going to design systems that are problem first, focused on solving real sales challenges, that are security conscious from day one, and that are rigorously aligned to proven sales frameworks that actually work?
To drive real, measurable value.
Exactly. And to earn that customer trust, which is ultimately the bedrock of sustainable sales success, that's the choice. reactive hype chasing or proactive strategic system design.
Wow, that really crystallizes it. Problem first, security conscious, framework aligned. That's a powerful thought to leave everyone with.
Hopefully something to mull over.
Definitely. We really encourage you listening to reflect on these ideas. Think about how they apply directly to your own work, whether you're on the front lines or leading the team. How can you start making that shift towards more intentional AI adoption?
It's an ongoing journey for sure.
It is. The AI landscape in sales is changing fast, no doubt about it. But hopefully, with perspectives like the ones shared through resources like the AI Sales Leaders channel, you feel a bit more empowered to navigate it, not just reacting, but leading with confidence and a clear strategy. Thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Great discussion.